Too much friendliness is not kindness. It's self-sabotage in a world where people take advantage of what's freely given. Being overly friendly can blur boundaries, drain your energy, and attract the wrong kind of attention. It's time to redefine what it means to be kind without being a doormat. This isn't about being rude, it's about being wise. It's about self-respect. Being kind is often celebrated, and rightfully so. But kindness without limits is a different story. When your kindness has no structure, no filter, and no standard, it becomes easy for others to take advantage of it. What starts as a good intention quickly turns into a pattern of being used by people who don't appreciate you. They only appreciate what they can get from you. Some people don't understand kindness as a reflection of character. They misread it as naivety or weakness, and the moment they detect that your boundaries are soft or non-existent, they test you, not once, but repeatedly, and if they see you don't push back, they'll push further. Your silence becomes permission, your tolerance becomes approval, and your kindness, it becomes currency they use to buy their comfort at your expense. The manipulator doesn't come in waving a flag, they come in subtly. They play nice, they compliment you, they test your limits by asking for small favors, and when you say yes every time, the requests get bigger. They observe your reactions, and if they sense you're too kind to say no, they label you in their mind, not as strong, but as easy to control. Eventually, they stop asking, they start expecting. What you once gave out of generosity becomes their entitlement. You find yourself doing things not out of joy, but out of guilt or fear of disappointing them. Your kindness begins to suffocate you because it's no longer a choice. It's a demand, a duty, a weight. This is how people who lack empathy thrive. They survive by leeching off those who give too much without limits. And you can't blame them entirely. They're only doing what you allow. That's the brutal truth. When you don't set boundaries, you're telling others that their comfort is more important than your peace, that their approval matters more than your well-being. True kindness is never about shrinking yourself to make others feel big. It's about generosity with awareness, love with wisdom, support with standards. You can be a good person and still tell someone, that doesn't work for me. You can be loving and still say no. Saying no doesn't make you unkind, it makes you responsible. Kindness that lacks boundaries becomes people-pleasing. And people-pleasing leads to self-abandonment. You start losing sight of what you need because you're so busy meeting everyone else's. And the moment you abandon yourself, manipulators know they've won. Because now, not only are you doing what they want, you've convinced yourself it's your role to do it. If you want to be kind and still be respected, you must pair your compassion with courage. Courage to say no. Courage to walk away. Courage to stop explaining yourself to people who don't care about you as a person, just what you provide. Because kindness, when protected by boundaries, is powerful, but without boundaries, it becomes your weakness and their weapon. Availability is often mistaken for loyalty, but the truth is, people don't value what's always within reach. Human psychology works in a way where scarcity increases perceived value. When you're constantly present, constantly replying, constantly showing up without hesitation, people stop viewing your presence as a privilege and start treating it as a given. At first, your constant availability might make someone feel special. They'll appreciate your quick replies, your eagerness to help, your willingness to always be there. But over time, this effort starts to feel less like generosity and more like obligation. It no longer feels like you're choosing to be there. They just expect you to be. The moment you make yourself too easy to access, people unconsciously devalue your presence. They begin to assume you have nothing else going on. They believe you'll drop everything at any time for them. And instead of respecting you for it, they question your priorities. If they're always free for me, they think, how important can they really be? This is not about playing games. It's about understanding energy dynamics. Being overly available creates imbalance. It communicates that you have little to no boundaries, that your time is less important, and that you're willing to put your life on pause for someone else's convenience. That is not respect. That is emotional self-neglect. You start to notice the imbalance when your energy isn't matched. You text instantly. They take hours. You show up quickly. They cancel last minute. You support them in every crisis. They disappear in yours. It's not always intentional on their part. It's just how the human brain reacts when something is always there. It blends into the background. And here's the truth. People want what they feel lucky to have, not what they feel entitled to. When you preserve a sense of self, priority and balance, your presence becomes something others cherish, not take for granted. When you're selective with your time, people appreciate it more. They lean in more. They listen more. Respect grows in the space you protect. Being less available doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means knowing your worth. It means filling your own cup before pouring into others. It means giving your time to people who have earned it, not demanded it. If your presence is always assumed, it will never be treasured. You weren't created to be everyone's lifeline. You were created to walk your path, grow your gifts, and connect with others from a place of wholeness, not desperation for validation. Over-availability will never win you respect, but self-respect that wins you everything. One of the most common traps people fall into is the habit of saying yes, when every part of their body is screaming no. It's not just about being polite, it's about being afraid. Afraid of disappointing others, afraid of conflict, afraid of looking selfish. But what's even more dangerous is what that fear does to your sense of self-respect. Every time you say yes to something you don't want, you're not just lying to someone else, you're lying to yourself. You're teaching your mind and your soul that your needs don't matter, that your peace can be sacrificed for someone else's comfort. And the more you do it, the more normal it becomes to betray yourself in the name of being nice. It starts small, agreeing to plans you're too tired for, helping someone when you're already overwhelmed, lending money you can't afford to lose. But over time, this pattern turns into your identity. People begin to expect your compliance, not because they're evil, but because you've shown them you're always available, always agreeable, always the one who says yes. And let's be real. The people who benefit from your constant yes will never encourage your no. Why would they? Your compliance makes their life easier, but your silence costs you. It costs you time, energy, focus, and emotional balance. You end up living a life built on the expectations of others instead of the convictions of your own heart. Saying no is not rude, it's responsible, it's honest, it's the foundation of authenticity. People may not like it at first, especially if they've gotten used to your yes, but eventually they will learn to respect it. Or they'll walk away, and in both cases you win, because truth filters out the people who only loved your obedience, not your individuality. You have every right to disappoint people. You have every right to protect your schedule, your mental health, your energy. You were not born to please the world. You were born to live a life of purpose. And that purpose gets dimmed every time you force yourself to show up for things that don't align with your spirit. It's okay to pause before you answer. It's okay to say, let me think about it, or I'm not available, or simply no. No explanation needed. The truth doesn't need decoration. If you're not used to saying no, it'll feel uncomfortable at first. But discomfort is temporary. Regret for betraying yourself, that lasts much longer. You are not responsible for how people react to your boundaries. You are only responsible for honoring your truth, because every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to your self-worth. And that is a decision you'll never regret. Many people struggle with setting boundaries because they believe doing so makes them selfish, cold, or unkind. But that's a dangerous lie. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They're fences that protect what matters inside. You can love someone and still say, "This is as far as I go." You can care deeply and still choose yourself. The guilt often comes from conditioning. Maybe you were raised to believe that putting others first is always the right thing. Maybe you were taught that being a good person means saying yes, keeping the peace and avoiding conflict. But being a good person does not mean sacrificing your peace for someone else's convenience. That's not kindness, that's self-erasure. When you set a boundary, you're not hurting anyone. You're simply being honest about what you need. People who respect you will understand. People who don't may push back. But that resistance isn't your burden to carry. Their discomfort does not mean your boundary is wrong. It only means they were benefiting from your lack of one. The truth is, boundaries don't break relationships, they reveal them. If someone gets angry because you said no, ask yourself, were they really loving you or just your compliance? Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not emotional control. And anyone who truly values you will not punish you for taking care of your own well-being. Guilt is a powerful emotion, but it's not always accurate. Just because you feel guilty doesn't mean you are guilty. You have every right to protect your time, your energy, and your heart. You are not an emotional landfill for other people's chaos. You are not here to rescue everyone at the cost of drowning yourself. Learning to set boundaries is also learning to tolerate other people's disappointment. That's part of growth. You won't be everyone's favorite person when you stop saying yes to everything, but you will become your own. And that's the relationship that matters most, the one you have with yourself. A boundary isn't about pushing people away. It's about creating space for healthier connections. When you know your limits, you make room for clarity. You make space for deeper trust, for real conversations, for mutual understanding. That's what boundaries give you, not just protection, but peace. So stop apologizing for needing space. Stop feeling guilty for choosing rest. Stop explaining why you're not available 24/7. You are allowed to exist fully without constantly proving your worth through overextension. Boundaries aren't cruel, they are self-love in action. One of the most freeing realizations you can ever have is this: you are not for everyone. And that's not only okay, it's necessary. Not everyone deserves your time, your energy, your thoughts, or your emotional investment. Just because someone wants access to you doesn't mean they've earned it. You have the right to choose who gets close and who doesn't. We live in a world that glorifies openness, vulnerability, and being there for everyone. But the truth is, being accessible to everyone makes you emotionally bankrupt. When you allow just anyone into your space, your inbox, your energy, your life, you start to lose control over your peace. You dilute the quality of your connections by spreading yourself too thin. Think about your attention and presence like currency. If you gave money to every single person who asked for it, how long would you stay financially stable? Not very long. The same goes for your time and emotional energy. They're not infinite. You must budget your presence and invest it wisely. In people who give back, grow with you, and honor your space. Some people don't come to add value to your life. They come to take, distract, and drain. They show up when they need something and disappear when you need them. They thrive off your energy but never pour anything back in return. And yet, too often, we keep allowing these people into our circle just because we don't want to seem mean or unavailable. But access is a privilege, not a right. Just because someone knows you doesn't mean they know the current version of you. Just because someone was close to you in the past doesn't mean they still deserve a seat at your table today. Growth means you outgrow people. Healing means you stop entertaining those who harm your peace. There's power in being selective. There's strength in saying, I don't have space for this anymore. You're not being rude. You're being intentional. You're curating your environment the same way you would curate what you eat, what you wear, or what you allow in your home. Protecting your emotional space is a sign of maturity, not selfishness. The people who truly see your worth will never question why you protect your time. They won't trip you into being available on demand. They'll understand that your energy is sacred, not public property, and they'll appreciate you more because they recognize the value of what you bring to the table. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you. Not friends, not co-workers, not even family. Access must be earned, maintained, and mutually respected. When you stop giving your energy to just anyone, you begin to elevate everything: your peace, your clarity, your confidence, and most importantly, your self-respect. Being friendly is a beautiful trait. It shows openness, warmth, and a willingness to connect. But when friendliness becomes excessive, unfiltered, or indiscriminate, it can start to send the wrong signal. Over-friendliness doesn't just attract good-hearted people. It also invites opportunists, manipulators, and emotional parasites into your life. The wrong people are often looking for easy entry points. They observe behaviors. They watch how quickly you open up, how much you share, how fast you say yes, and how eager you are to please. When they sense that you're overly friendly to everyone, they see it as a weakness, not a strength. They interpret it as a green light to step in, charm you, and eventually use you. Over-friendliness tells the wrong people, I don't guard myself. And people who lack boundaries in themselves are drawn to others who also lack boundaries. They don't want mutual relationships. They want access. They want influence. And they love finding someone who won't question their intentions or resist their manipulation. What's even more dangerous is that over-friendliness can blind you to red flags. You become so focused on being kind, so eager to be liked, that you ignore your instincts. You excuse disrespect. You overlook manipulation. You tell yourself, maybe they didn't mean it that way, even when your gut says otherwise. And the longer you ignore those inner alarms, the more power they gain over you. You start by giving a little too much. You share personal stories too quickly. You say yes before thinking. You give chances they didn't earn. You smile when you're uncomfortable. You laugh when you feel disrespected. And little by little, your over-friendliness becomes a mask that hides your true feelings and silences your truth. The wrong people love people who don't challenge them. If you're constantly friendly, even in moments when you should be firm, direct, or distant, you make it easier for toxic people to stay in your life undetected. They don't feel the need to earn your trust or respect. They know they already have it just by showing up. True connection doesn't require you to be overly available or endlessly agreeable. The right people will appreciate your kindness with standards. They won't run away when you show discernment, when you ask questions, or when you protect your space. But the wrong people, they'll disappear the moment you stop being overly friendly. And that's exactly what should happen. You can still be warm and wise. You can be kind and cautious. You can be generous without being gullible. Because the goal isn't to stop being friendly, it's to be friendly with awareness. The more you learn to filter your energy, the fewer wrong people you'll attract, and the more peace you'll preserve in your life. There comes a point in your life where you have to decide, do you want to be liked by everyone, or do you want to be respected by the right ones? These two are not always the same. Chasing likability can cost you your voice, your boundaries, and your identity. But earning respect means standing firm even when it makes others uncomfortable. Likability is often rooted in performance. You smile when you don't feel like it. You agree when you silently disagree. You say what people want to hear. You bend so far that you break, all just to keep the peace, keep the connection, or keep from being judged. But the price of being liked is high when you lose yourself in the process. Respect doesn't come from being agreeable. It comes from being real. It's earned when people see that you have a backbone, not just a soft heart. It grows when you say no. With confidence, when you speak up even if your voice shakes, when you hold yourself to a standard, even if others don't understand it. People may not always like your boundaries, but they will respect you for having them. And if they don't, that's a sign they were more interested in your compliance than your character. The people who get offended when you stand up for yourself are often the ones who benefited from your silence. When you prioritize likability, you attract relationships based on your ability to please, not your ability to be authentic. You teach people that your comfort is less important than their approval, and over time you begin to resent yourself for constantly shrinking to fit someone else's mold. Respect, on the other hand, leads to healthier connections. It filters out those who only liked the version of you that was easy to control. It creates space for people who value you not for how much you agree with them, but for how deeply you stay true to yourself. Respectful relationships thrive on honesty, not on pretending. Choosing respect might mean you say no more often. It might mean you walk away from conversations where you're not being heard. It might mean you make decisions that others don't understand. But that's okay, because when you respect yourself, You stop needing others to validate every move you make. You're not here to entertain everyone. You're not here to be everyone's favorite. You're here to live a life that aligns with your values, your purpose, and your peace. And that kind of life will never be built on constant approval. It's built on courage, truth, and boundaries. The world doesn't need more people who are liked by everyone. It needs more people who are respected for being real. So stop watering yourself down to fit in. Stand tall, speak clearly, and remember, being liked is easy, but being respected, that's power. Peace isn't just a luxury. It's a necessity. If you don't protect your peace, you'll find that everything else in your life starts to crumble. Without inner peace, nothing outside of you can ever feel stable. It's easy to get caught up in the noise of the world, in other people's expectations, and in the constant hustle. But peace is the foundation of everything you are. Without it, you'll never truly know who you are or what you're capable of. When you allow chaos, drama, or negativity into your life, you're allowing an invasion of your mental and emotional space. It's like inviting a storm into your home just because you don't want to seem rude or because you want to avoid confrontation. But once that storm is inside, it destroys everything in its path. People who drain you, situations that stress you, habits that overwhelm you, they chip away at your peace until it's gone. Your peace isn't something you can afford to take lightly. Every time you give it away, it costs you more than you realize. It costs you clarity, focus, and a sense of control over your own life. You give up your right to make decisions from a place of calm and intentionality. And eventually, you'll find yourself reacting to life instead of responding to it. You'll feel lost in the noise, disconnected from your purpose, and unable to hear your own inner voice. The truth is, your peace should be treated as a sacred part of your being. Just like you would protect your physical health from harm, you must guard your emotional and mental health with the same urgency. That means saying no when you need to. It means stepping away from people who bring chaos instead of calm. It means creating boundaries, no matter how uncomfortable that may feel in the moment. Not everyone deserves access to your peace. Not every relationship, every conversation, or every situation is worth your mental and emotional energy. If someone or something is consistently robbing you of your peace, it's time to evaluate whether it's worth keeping in your life. Your energy is finite, and every minute you spend in a situation that disrupts your peace is time you'll never get back. In the age of social media, constant news cycles, and endless demands on our attention, it's even more critical to protect your peace. The noise is constant, the opinions are overwhelming, and the pressure to keep up is real. But you must remember that the external world will always be chaotic. It will always demand your attention. The key is to create an internal world of calm, a place where you can retreat and recharge when needed. That's the true source of your strength. Peace is not something that just happens. It's something you create. It requires intentional choices, discipline, and a commitment to your well-being. This could mean saying no to an invitation that doesn't serve you, setting time limits on social media, or distancing yourself from people who drain you emotionally. Every action you take to protect your peace is an act of self-love. Every time you prioritize your calm over someone else's drama, you are choosing yourself. When you protect your peace, you create space for clarity. You make decisions more easily. You become more aligned with your purpose and your true desires. You stop living reactively and start living consciously. Your energy becomes focused and your goals become clearer. You stop feeling overwhelmed by external pressures because you've learned how to stay grounded no matter what is happening around you. Your peace is the most valuable thing you have. It's the foundation of your happiness, your success, and your health. Without it, you're walking through life on shaky ground, but with peace, everything else falls into place. So treat it like the precious gift it is, protect it fiercely, guard it with everything you've got, and never let anyone or anything take it away from you.